All right, I missed you guys. Sorry, welcome to Workforce Ready with NSTAR. My name is Nnamdi Hennacho, and I am excited to be back with you all again today. This was supposed to happen on Saturday, but due to circumstances beyond my control, technical issues, and just a whole bunch of things happening, Saturdays can become very demanding. And so I apologize for not showing up at our regularly scheduled time, but I'll do my best to always show up. But we are doing this now. So hopefully everyone who missed this can still watch this live or watch the replay, even if you don't get to watch it live. But here it goes. So today I'm talking about just why no code tech roles are the smartest career move for 2026, especially, and this wasn't in the title because it was going to be too long, but especially if you are someone who is trying to get into tech, right? Coming from outside of tech, trying to get into tech, then maybe the best approach might not be to go the coding route, right? Some of the people who do the development roles and all the other highly technical roles that we are very familiar with, have some they started coding from a long time. And so some people won't feel like, okay, what if I don't have all of the background these guys have? How do I compete? And so today I want to talk about other options. There are no code tech roles that you can explore that will lead you to the same destination and have the same career satisfaction that one would if you, that it makes people want to get into tech. Now, these roles are, they are very technical. So the fact that they are no code does not mean they're not technical roles. They are still very technical roles, but they focus on using powerful tools and simple database languages like SQL, right? And that makes that very inaccessible. I did a video that I said SQL is like English. If you can, for everyone who can communicate, then you can write SQL. So that's the goal. So I want to show you, that the highest growth in tech careers in 2026 will be and are often accessible via, just clear learning paths, and you don't need to become a software developer. All right. And the question you might have is why the boom? Right? Why the demand in automation, and all of this non-tech roles? One, it's the business need, right? The business need. Every modern company is built on data, and it needs people to secure that data, to organize teams and interpret the results. And these things are very critical. So data powers every business today. I don't care how big, how small, how mid-sized, regardless of the capacity of the organization, it's powered and driven by data. Data is key. You can't negotiate data at this point. Good businesses decide on data. In fact, it's a slogan for a lot of organizations, right? So data is thriving. So people being able to manage it, secure it, make sure it's available when it's needed, interpret the data, make it make sense, technical, being able to interpret it to, for non-technical folks. Those things are very useful skills that are in high demand today. That's why they are considered high value skills, and they translate directly to immediate business success, right? Again, this is not just, there are certain things people do, and those are like accessories, right? But the main money makers, right, that translate to business. One of the things I tell my students about why I love being in the database administration, database engineering, and the data space is because I can see the effect and the impact of my work on revenue, on business. It makes me feel like I am too important to this business and too important to what they do, right? And so that's one of the benefits. It translates directly to business success. Okay, so some of these ones, the one key skill, I'll give you three of them, right? Data availability. And this is a key database administrator responsibility, right? Ensuring that your systems, your database systems are kept running. The whole infrastructure that manages your data has to be up and running. And a database administrator is responsible for that. So that data availability, data management skill set is a highly demanded skill today, will always be, right? Project delivery is another skill set, right? So people like who are in Scrum Masters, who are in agile delivery roles, who are agile leadership, agile project management, that is super key because companies need to be able to churn out these projects fast in a timely manner and then be able to iterate quickly, make adjustments, make updates, based on feedback from customers, right? And so agility is not optional. And so project managers with that skill set are always going to be in demand. So you see Scrum Masters jumping out of shelves. Any agile project delivery, leadership type role, highly demanded. And then strategic insights. Okay, so you see that's where you have your business analyst, basically helping businesses make smart decisions from the data they have, interpreting data, making sure businesses are able to make intelligent decisions using leveraging the access to information and data to make good decisions, company direction, all of that. So that is some of the top skills. So I want those that I wanted to just spotlight the database administrator role again. For a DBA role, right, your coding adjacent is SQL for the most part. Again, SQL, structured query language, is a standard. A lot of people associate SQL with Microsoft because it's popular. But SQL is structured query language. It's a standard for scripting, right? Different from code. So I recommend being able to do some scripting language. Like Python is a scripting language, SQL is a scripting language, different from Java, different from some of the other ones. So it's almost like, again, scripting languages are very close to English. It's with some keywords that you have to be familiar with. And even with scripting as a database administrator, you are not necessarily the one writing the scripts, right? People have developer roles. I encourage my students to be familiar with the scripting language just because it's important. You're going to be working with developers. You're going to be working with a whole range of people, and being able to speak that language is important. But that's as far as in terms of what's writing text and writing code, you would come as a database administrator. We're considered the guardians of the data. What we do is, again, make sure business critical data is safe, it's secure, it's accessible when it's needed, it's available 24/7. Business doesn't shut down because of inaccessibility of data. Customers can go do business. You can go shop on Amazon anytime you want, regardless of your time zone, regardless of your zip code, right? Because of availability. You thank a DBA every time you go to Amazon and it's up and running, right? And so in terms of what skill requirements do you need to be an excellent DBA, I've done several videos on this. You can go back and look through several of my past videos, but attention to detail, troubleshooting skills, being able to troubleshoot complex problems, problem solving, knowing how to recover data. There's a lot of non-technical skills make you a good database administrator. The technical side of database administration is overstated. Let me not say that. It's super important to be super technical, but that is not going to separate you from the pack. There's a lot of highly skilled people out there who know the language, who know the technology. What makes you excellent is all the non-technical skills, your analytical skills, your problem-solving skills, your ability to work within a team, interact, convert or interpret technical concepts, complex technical concepts, and make it make sense in everyday English. Those are the things that make you excellent as a database administrator or a database engineer. The next, job I want to spotlight, and I've kind of talked about all of them, is the data analyst role. And your coding adjacent for this one, again, will be, again, SQL for reporting. And it's just it's more queries. So when I talk about queries, I'm talking about standard select statements, retrieving records. It doesn't really get in depth into, inserts, updates, and all of those fun things that you might need to do as a database administrator. So for a data analyst, it's about reports. It's about data interpretation. You're a business storyteller, right? You're able to translate raw numbers into clear, simple reports that make executives happy, basically, right? You make the business people happy by interpreting the data, sending reports, and able to make strategic decisions using the details and the reports that you provide. And then the next skill I want to highlight, the next career path I want to highlight, is the Scrum Master Agile Coach. Again, this is pure no code, right? There's no coding involved at all. You're the team organizer, you're the coach, you run the meetings, you fix team problems, you help projects stay on track, get finished on time. And again, like I mentioned before, taking an agile approach, meaning quick adjustments, rapid delivery and changes on the fly, considering customer feedback and all of that. So that is the Scrum Master role. The skills you need here are your leadership skills, conflict resolution, because engineers might not like each other sometimes, or being able to manage expectations between the business and the engineers, right? Because sometimes business has unrealistic expectations. They just make promises without consulting engineers, and then engineers are like, that's not happening. You have to navigate those, and sometimes engineers just want to take their time and do stuff, and there's deadlines and money involved, and you need to be able to communicate, manage both sides. So a good leader, a scrum master is a leader, an agile project manager, agile project lead, it's a leader is someone who is a servant leader, able to bring all of these things together. It's an excellent role. And so you're immersed in the technology, even if you're not coding. You're immersed. You have to be familiar with the language, with the tech, because you're the real interpreter. Yeah, right. You're the one who the executives lead to translate what's going on from the technical side, right? So yes, some days you might bring the engineers to do presentations on the core technical deliverables and components, but it has to make sense to you because you have to be able to ask intelligent questions, and navigate those conversations. So it's an excellent way to get into tech without ever writing a piece of code, right? And then the big conversation we're having today is around automation, artificial intelligence. Automation just means things happening without human intervention, and that is becoming bigger and bigger today when it comes to working in tech. Automation, AI is not your enemy; it's your ally, right? AI tools are not. I saw an ad. I think it was by Tony Robbins and Graziosi. Shout out to them, doing incredible things in business world. But the ad was on, AI is not going to replace you. It's going to replace AI is going to replace you're going to be replaced by somebody who knows how to use AI. And so it's what does AI really do? Again, AI is powered by data. So there's still a back end or back end component to data, to artificial intelligence. But the value of automation, especially when you deal with cloud solutions, is in the repetitive tasks, in the mundane, repetitive things that now those things you can automate and take that away from, take away the brain power requirement that a person has to uh, get involved in to participate or to do these tasks, right? Simple but things like backups. If you're using some AWS or some cloud solutions, for example, even some maintenance things will be handled, through their automation platforms. Where especially if you're like a software as a service type solution. And so the professionals, get to focus on more higher level work, not patching or again simple backups or things like that. Uh, um, so that's how I wanted to see automation and leveraging artificial intelligence. It's just a co-worker, it's a teammate who takes away like some of the repetitive boring things from your plates, and you can focus on the high level thinking things, right? Because there are certain things that you can't automate. There are certain things you can't prompt away. You have to still be in there and then digging. You can't vibe code your way out of certain issues. So you have to dig in and put your head down and figure it out. There's navigating relationships at work. You can't automate that. Navigating relations among teams, dealing with developers, making decisions on solutions you use. These are things that you can't outsource or you can't delegate. Artificial intelligence might be a guide, a place where you can bounce ideas off of and get some thoughts, faster, but it's not going to replace that human component, doing all of the intelligent, decision making. That's super important to emphasize, right? When systems become automated, you need skilled people like the database administrator, like the analysts who set the rules, check results, and make sure the automated processes are working correctly and also ethically. This is super important because crazy things are going on today. If you're in 2025, you know what I'm talking about and how malicious people can get with artificial intelligence. Human skills are always going to be required for solving problems, and that's the truth. And problems will always arise. If you've been, this is as I record this is the 10th of November, 2025. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a whole, challenge with one of the major cloud solution providers, right? And it was several organizations were affected. Human beings have to go in and sit down and figure out and troubleshoot and look at logs and look at history and look at bugs, that you can't replace the human factor. That is because it's built by humans, and so it will always require humans to drive it. And so that's something to think about. Those are, you can't automate certain things. You can't automate leadership. You can't automate working with people. You can't automate motivation. There's so many things you can't automate. You can't artificial intelligence, if that's a word. So what's the roadmap for somebody who's looking to make that pivot into tech? Because anyone can switch. Anyone can get into tech. Focus on the transferable skills first. That's what I'll say. Start from the transferable skills. What are your strengths from your previous careers? If you were a project manager, if you were a leader in some capacity, you were a manager, you manage people, hone that, start looking at those skills, start taking an inventory of the skills you had in your former life, or your current life that you're looking to pivot away from. Your organizational skills, if you're a teacher, ability to teach, communication, troubleshooting skills, if you're in tech support, those type of things, take inventory of your skills. Number two, targeted learning, right? And this is one of the things I am very big on is identify the gaps and invest in knowledge, right? Prioritize vendor-specific certification. So once you identify a platform that you feel, okay, hey, my skill set, my background leans more towards me being a database administrator, right? I'm, good with troubleshooting, I'm support and keeping systems up. Okay, what platforms, what database platforms, what database management platforms do I want to lean into? Right, there's so many of them: Oracle, SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, DB2. List goes on and on. Microsoft SQL Server is my highly recommended one because of the opportunities available in that realm. But say you decide to become a Microsoft SQL Server, your next step will be to go acquire targeted learning. You're going to come to NSTAR Technologies. You're going to reach out to us. We're going to get into our Accelerator program and then equip you with the skill sets you need to be successful, right? That's how it's going to go. Same for all the other programs, all the other career paths. You identify your lane and then go invest in knowledge, go invest in learning. Can you self-study to get into these things? Yes, you can. Right? Can you self-study? Can you YouTube your way into it? Yes. It's just that there's no roadmap in that direction. So except you're already in the game and you want to upskill, then I'm game with go do self-study. But if you're not familiar with this realm and you just want to, it's going to be a struggle to try to do it by yourself without guidance. And then once you start learning, start building a portfolio for yourself, because those become your stories, right? I want to emphasize, just make sure you are building things. Make sure you're using your hands. Make sure you are creating projects. You're setting up your own virtual environments, right? With VMware in your personal lab. You're setting up your own reports. You're building out all of these things. Those become the things you talk about. That's how you demonstrate proficiency when you're talking in your interviews, when you're speaking with people, prospective employers. They want to know what you've done. That's it. Those things you did in the lab become your stories. Those become the illustrations you give. Those become the case studies you present when you're asked, how did you do this? Or when you dealt with this situation, what did you do? How did that becomes the stories you tell. Eventually, that's what makes you successful in an interview. It's not necessarily the memorized responses and definitions. It's being able to show that you've done stuff. And how you can show you've done stuff is by doing stuff and build a portfolio that becomes your story points when you're talking to prospective employers. So I've said quite a bit and I've moved quickly through this because I wanted to keep this under a certain amount of time. Your most valuable asset getting into tech is not your ability to code. I'll say that. It's the ability to manage complexity, interpret data, and deliver reliability. These are the skills of the no-code professional. All right, that's it. You don't have to write code. You don't have to be proficient in Java. You don't have to know object-oriented programming. You don't have to know methods and classes and all of that. You just need to position yourself properly, leverage the skills you already have, build on that, targeted learning, and then just work your way into a new career. Now, if you're looking to pivot in 2026 into a career in information technology, we are having a masterclass, a workshop on the 21st. Actually, we'll have one for our Scrum Master program this Friday. If you see this before Friday on the 14th, you can go ahead and register. The details will be around this video, or go on our website, nstartechnology.com, to check out what we have coming up on our LinkedIn profile, anywhere, our social media, anywhere you follow us from. You'll find our Scrum Master program, our Scrum Master workshop is happening, and then we'll dive into the details of this. And then on the 21st, I'll be teaching a session on database administration. We'll be going into some of the core components of this, a career in database administration and database engineering. If you want to learn more, you have a chance to ask questions as well. So if that's something you're interested in, and if you're watching this video to this point, that means you are interested. Go ahead and register right now, and I will see you in class. Again, I apologize for not doing this on Saturday the way it was scheduled to go, but we've done it now. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Hit me up in the comments. If there's something that you're curious about, I'll be glad to do a video on that. But till next time, my name is Nnamdi, and I will see you on the inside. God bless you.